All right, in this video, we are going to talk about converting problems into opportunities. If you do spot a problem with your product, you can dismiss it, as in the earlier example that we used, or you can convert it into an opportunity. This strategy is a little more creative than the last one, where you are just being blunt about your dirty laundry. In this one, you are being truthful about the problem, but you are reframing it from a negative to a positive. Once people start to see that you might have a point, that negative really is a positive. Then you don't even have to dismiss the objection. It becomes another selling feature. So you do have to raise the objection first and use the strategies we have already discussed. But you want to resolve the objection on a positive note. If you can be really creative and sell that problem as a feature, it can be a way to disarm and even charm people reading the copy on your website. So, what is the strategical plan? The strategy involves learning how your potential buyer perceives your product and any objections they may raise in their own minds. You don't have to be a mind reader to figure that out. You can simply ask them. You can set up surveys that offer a discount coupon on your product or offers, even a freebie to get a little market research on a particular product. You have to know which objections might be converted into opportunities, and often they may not even be objections that you would think about at first. You can even add a few posts about a product on some group sites, for instance, or your own forums and see what people don't like about the product as well as what they do like. Some of these objections may be specific to your particular product, but others might be pretty generic. For instance, say you're selling tattoo art online. Well, you're obviously aren't the only one selling tattoo art design, and you can visit specialty groups and forums and find out what people are talking about. Maybe they think unicorn tattoos are lame, or there is a particular discussion on whether it's such a good idea to have a permanent design on your body or not. Maybe you hear about the bad reactions people got years later from some tattoo they got when they were younger. So now the objection is that a tattoo is permanent. However, it also happens to be the opportunity because tattoos are permanent. They don't rub off. They are unique and can be a highlight to your personality or mark a particular moment in or event in your life. And you'll always have that remembrance. So, even though some people might perceive the fact that a tattoo as permanent as a problem later in life, it's what also makes it so attractive too. All you need to do is educate that person visiting your product on why it's more of an opportunity than a potential problem. For this, you can even suggest that some tattoos now come with ink that can be removed with a laser later. In the case of tattoos, we have a generic problem that crops up that makes an excellent opportunity. However, there may actually be problems that are specific to your product. In the case of the earlier example of a piece of art that is terribly ugly, would you be able to make it an opportunity? It is possible with a little creativity. Aren't ugly works of art controversial and conversation starters? Maybe it represents a particular time period of style of art that is only recognized by discriminating art buyers. In that case, the fact that it's ugly is the opportunity to express exactly why you were savvy enough to buy the piece anyway. It shows you are a person who understands art and the value of a piece of work. So let's talk about the psychological triggers. Even though the major part of this strategy is to reframe a negative into a positive, you don't want to try to force something that will never be. You don't want to try to convince the potential buyer of something that is ludicrous or a stretch to believe because people are pretty smart about these kind of things, right? So you're Basically, you're reframing the objection into a positive, but in a way that is believable. In another way, if you happen to reframe something that would normally appear negative into a positive in a bright and refreshing way, people will be surprised at first. The surprise lowers their resistance to believing the new way the problem has turned in, and now the problem has turned into an opportunity, basically. Again, by raising the objection first, you have gotten the upper hand. You have set the stage to be the authority on this particular problem, and you have guided the potential buyer to a solution that not only resolves the problem, but it also presents them with a great opportunity too. At first, it will stir up feelings of shock that you dared to bring up the problem first. Then it will lend you credibility and provide your voice with more authority on the subject. Finally, it will reduce their defenses and make it easy for them to go along with your final assessment of the problem as the opportunity. They will be grateful you actually pointed out something to them they just might have missed. Okay, so let's talk about how to implement effectively. Okay, so you've done some market research and gotten a list of positive objections for your particular product or market. For each product, take out a sheet of paper and create 2 columns by running a line down the middle of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. On the first side, list all of the objections that you discovered or thought up, and then start to go through them one by one. You don't want to pick every objection and try to make it an opportunity. What that will do is make people think that there are far too many problems with the product and you're just messing with their minds. If you pick an objection that is not very serious to highlight, because it's easily converted into a positive, it will make you appear condescending instead of helpful. If you pick something that isn't really an objective, you just think it might be able to be perceived as one, you're going to be raising an objection in your potential customer's mind that might never have surfaced. This will make them stop and think about what the other red flags they've missed are. So you don't want to pick a weak objection or one that is non-existent. What you want to do is locate serious objections that people might have to your product and then creatively turn them into positives. So be careful which objections you consider to highlight, as it can make or break this strategy. Once you know which objections might qualify for this strategy, the fun starts. You have to be very creative and think up a resolution for each strategy that makes the problem an opportunity. There are some objections that are universal, not specific to your market or your product. There are things like the price is too high, it takes too long to get it, it's not convenient, or the competition has better or different features. Don't forget that you can target these objections as well, and maybe you want to start with them for every product just to get the hang of this. Then you think up a reason for why that objection is really an opportunity. A classic example of this is when you have a product that is really expensive when compared to the competition. You can say it is a good value for the money because it offers more features than the competition's. So while you pay more than the others, you get more, and in the end, it's worth more too. This may be a little more canned in an online presentation than in a regular face-to-face presentation. If you're meeting a sales prospect in person, you can often hear the objections live and or anticipate them better from the comments they make. Online, you can't really interact that much with your visitor. So you have to take the strategy of doing your research and then picking just one of the biggest flaws and using that as a lead in for your sales page. If you have multiple objections you want to resolve, then you can use a table that compares features between your product and other leading brands. Tables are very easy on the eye of people reading them, and they're good online material to use. So they can see that price-wise you are more expensive, but the rest of the features are checked for you and your competitors' columns are empty. This gives a very big visual impact and is a way of raising objections and resolving them without having to explain it out in a paragraph. The table is a visual tool that does it for you. Always, always, always be upfront about flaws or objections that are going on that can be a major concern for your customer. If you fail to address it, the potential buyer might bring it up or might not, but they will surely be thinking about it. If you don't bring it up, it will never be resolved in their minds. An unresolved objection is going to dampen your sales. So, despite the fact that it may seem strange to be bringing up your product's bad points, it's far worse to not acknowledge them at all. So, what happens if you are in the middle of a sales presentation and the product breaks or it doesn't perform the way you would expect it to? Acknowledge it right away and let people know the reason for that particular problem. Maybe you can bring up the fact that even if the product doesn't perform the way advertised, there's a guarantee they can use to get a replacement or something similar. Sometimes people don't want to buy things online because they don't know what they're going to get when it arrives. This is particularly true with diamonds. The biggest objection a person buying a diamond online is how could they be sure the diamond they receive is worth the thousands of dollars they spent on it? So many online diamond retailers raise that objection as a valid objection and showcase the fact that their diamonds are appraised by a particular agency. Or they might discuss how the value is established and how safe the delivery is and any money back guarantees too. Now, the fact that you're buying a diamond online and may not be able to visually see it before it arrives and don't know how to determine worth is an opportunity to have a valid certification of your diamond for free through the website policies. Okay, so let's talk about timing this strategy. The timing of this strategy is similar to the last strategy. Always bring up the objection first, before your customer has a chance to do it for you. You can shock them with the declaration of a particular problem. You can even not make it a statement, but a question. Like, are you afraid that you don't know if the diamond you're buying online is worth what you paid for it? That lead in will automatically bring people in because it acknowledges a fear that may lurk in the mind of the prospect, but that has not been verbalized. Once you verbalize it, many people can relate to the fear, and it draws their attention as being relevant to their personal experience. You come off looking at someone who is sympathetic and understanding for even bringing it up. You want to be that person. You want to come off that way. Then when you provide the resolution, our diamonds are certified by a third-party appraisal that are board certified to be blah, 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 blah. You not only have given them the prospective buyer the solution right away, but also relieve the fear and anxiety experienced with that particular problem. That sense of immediate anxiety and relief can end up leading to an instant sale. You can do this very well in a targeted email campaign for those people who have subscribed to, say, your email list. Don't spam people with advertisements, but if you're trying out a new product that most people have a problem buying online for some reason, you can use that niche to help you use this strategy by turning that objection into an opportunity. When presented correctly, it can be a way to engage the reader and draw them into your copy far enough for them to find the solution to their problem and associate your product with a new opportunity for themselves. Hope that made sense, and we'll see you in the next video.